Okay, so moving on to different types of volumes that you have in your lungs, I will expect you to know what's the difference between tidal volume, what's the difference between inspiratory reserve. So make sure you read through these slides prior to the test because you'll probably have to study them a little bit more. Measurement of different air volumes is called spirometry. It describes four distinct, so there's four different volumes that we'll talk about. One inspiration followed by expiration is called a respiratory cycle. So breathe in, breathe out. Normally, nothing's forced. That's a respiratory cycle. So the amount of air that enters or leaves the lungs during one respiratory cycle is your tidal volume. And that's typically around 500 milliliters. So if and you don't think about that, if I grab a beaker quick. This is 1,000 milliliters, so 500 milliliters would be right here. So typical in-out breath is 500 milliliters of air. During forced inspiration, so that's when, this is at the doctor's office, when you take that deep breath. Forced inspiration gives an additional volume, and that additional volume is your inspiratory reserve volume. So I take my normal breath and then I add even more to it when I take that deep breath. Maximal forced expiration, so this is not a typical respiratory cycle. This is when you're actually blowing air out, or like if you're blowing up a balloon. That would be expiratory reserve volume, and you're seeing how much you can get out of your lungs. No matter what, if you think you've gotten rid of all the air in your lungs, there's typically still about 1,200 milliliters left in the space of your lungs. So residual volume in your lungs is about 1,200 milliliters. So even if I try to get all the air out of your lungs, you typically cannot do that. So, if I want to look at some capacities, a capacity is going to be a combination of two of the volumes that we looked at. So, inspiratory capacity is your inspiratory reserve volume plus your tidal volume, which is about 3,000 milliliters, and these are averages. Functional residual capacity is your external plus your residual. Vital capacity, you add all three. Vital capacity plus your residual volume is your total lung capacity. So that is what your lungs could hold if they were completely full. Anatomic dead space is air remaining in your bronchial tree that's not involved in gas exchange. So even though your lungs are used for breathing, there is some dead space where there's a small amount of air that's not actually even involved in gas exchange. Here, I kind of like this because you can see the differences. So if I start over here on your right side, total lung capacity. Total lung capacity takes up the whole space. It's a full arrow. You can see everything. Here's my inspiratory capacity. And notice that's going to involve my inspiratory reserve volume. And my tidal volume. My tidal volume is just this little part that's right here. This is part of your functional residual capacity, is going to be this whole part here. Here you're looking at expiratory reserve and residual volume. So make sure, I'm not going to have this diagram on your test. But like here, tidal volume makes it look like it's here. Tidal volume is only this little part that's right here. Expiratory reserve is this here. Residual is here. You can just kind of see the different measurements. So total lung capacity is your largest measurement. And then your vital capacity is going to be your second largest amount. And this table here would be another good one to study before the test because it kind of puts it all together and it gives you some averages for volumes. I'm going to stop there, but I will show we do have a spirometer. So basically what you do is you'll set it at 0 and you can use it to take different measurements. So you basically hold it up to your mouth. And then it's going to record in cc's or millimeters, same thing. It's going to record the amount of air. So using a spirometer, you can test the different capacities that you have in your lungs. If you have any lung issues, breathing problems, asthma, something like that, you may use a spirometer.